Welcome to In Love with Michael Rosenbaum
and Chris Sullivan,
where we explore the universal language of love,
walk through the struggles of love lost,
and together navigate the bumpy and gratifying road to happiness.
Loving me, loving myself, working on my state of mental health, and I never thought it would go this far. You said we'd just be friends, but I'm standing here full of emptiness. I confess, I'm a beautiful mess.
Oh, it's been a great week. Have you had a good week? Been going to a lot of couples therapy? Still doing that, man?
Been doing the work, baby.
Yeah, I gotta do the work.
Yeah, it's been a great week. I'm really excited to talk to our guests today, Seth Green and his amazingly talented wife, Clare Grant.
Yeah, man.
You know Seth Green
From everything?
From everything.
The Italian Job, and God, the dude's been in so many freaking movies.
Austin
Buffy the
Powers.
Vampire Slayer,
He's
yes.
the creator of Robot Chicken. His wife, Claire, has worked on a lot of those same projects with him. She also founded Team Unicorn, if you're a fan of their internet content.
Yes, I've seen some of their videos. Hilarious.
Geek and Gamer Girls and all about that
Geek
bass.
and Gamer Girls are unbelievable. I saw the video.
And there it is. So they're talking to us today, and I'm grateful to have the opportunity to talk to them. You know, Seth Green has been a part of my consciousness since I was a kid, and so I admire him very much as an artist, and I'm glad they're coming in to talk.
Yeah, you know something. I feel like, you know, when you risk sometimes, like you bring a couple and like, oh, we're gonna hear about a couple and how they get along and how they, but the perspective they have, I knew it. I knew something. Like, how do you, anything that is successful, you usually face a lot of adversity by getting there, to get there. And the way they talk to each other is just, I mean, it is just, it's, I hope I can find a relationship like that, man, where you can just say fuck off, but know that the other person's safe enough to fuck off.
By episode 100, man.
By episode 100, you son of a bitch.
You're going to find a partner you could say fuck off to.
Hey,
I just want someone I can tell to fuck off.
Yeah.
Is that too much to ask?
Yeah. I think that's important. I think that's one of the attributes. That should be. But we'll get into that in a minute. We got the hotline with your questions. Hey, don't forget, you can find us at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Please follow us. And also write a review. Subscribe to the podcast if you haven't. Facebook, In Love Podcast. Instagram. Oh, wait. In Love Podcast. In Love Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
That's correct.
It's all the same.
It's all the same. It's all easy.
And the hotline is 323-207.
5676.
323
207
5676. That's right.
You call up, you leave us a quick message with your questions about life, love, relationships, whatever you want, and we will also let you know a couple days before we record who our specific guests are if you have specific questions for them. Yeah. But that hotline is always open.
It is. We have some good questions too. I really appreciate you guys calling in. It's nice to have the audience. I almost want to do it live sometime.
Yeah, hey.
We should work out a live version.
Hey, Sully and Rosie.
Live, man.
I got a question about this rash.
Ooh, yeah, keep those questions to yourself. So what are you in love with or grateful for this week?
You know what I'm in love with? I've got this thing, and I'm going to get you one, Michael, because I know you have a lot of instruments of massage for your neck issues and your back issues. Mm-hmm. I've got this thing, and this is, again, not a sponsor. This is something I use. It's called a spoonk.
Gross.
It is a terrible name. Spoonk. Have you ever seen a golf cleat?
Dude, I have it. Is it like a bed, like a little sheet?
A bed of plastic.
Yes,
golf
I have
cleats.
it upstairs. I have a.
Dude,
it is good.
Love this thing. It's like laying on a little miniature plastic bed of nails, but it draws all of the blood to the surface through all of the tight muscles, and it hurts for about 2.5 minutes. And then
spoonk, not stunk.
Spoonk.
That's stunk.
Spoonk.
That's spunk.
And we just lost everyone.
No, I have one of those. They're amazing.
They're incredible. And I've had it for a long time, and I used it regularly for a long time, and I kind of fell off it, but now I'm back, and I sleep. I lay on it for like 15, 20 minutes before I go to bed. Oof, spunk. I like that, man. I'm glad you're grateful for an inanimate object. Yeah, self-care, baby.
Self-care, it really is the thing, man. I'm always buying those neck things. You know what I'm in love with this week, what I'm grateful for? I think is just that, the summer's here and I feel better. I'm feeling healthier. I underwent surgery and all that, but now I'm feeling really good. And I don't know, I see a light at the end of the tunnel. And thank you to all my friends and family and fans out there for the support and love. And I think that helps the healing, my friends. It does.
All right, let's get to the interview. Here is Seth Green and Clare Grant.
We have two guests with us who are married, Chris.
That's true.
This is exciting.
Yeah, we have Seth Green and Clare Grant with us today.
Hey, that's us.
Yeah, thanks for coming, guys.
Oh, no
Thanks for
problem.
having us.
This is a new show that discusses relationships, lost love, life in general, gratitude. What else, Chris?
All of those things. You've covered all of them.
Thank you.
And you guys, I saw online, just celebrated an anniversary.
It's true.
9 years.
9 years on May 1st, I believe.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Easy to remember.
9 years.
Yeah.
Now, being a Star Wars fan, Seth, I thought you'd maybe push it to May 4th. No?
That's a great idea, but no, we weren't that dedicated.
You weren't that dedicated at the time?
Not to Star Wars, no.
Now, you guys know Michael pretty well, but
That would have been a Tuesday.
Tuesday would have been May 4th?
Yeah. Saturdays,
illegal.
Sundays, Fridays if you're an asshole.
Right. Right.
I didn't even
kinda
mean
true.
to imply like less of a commitment to Star Wars, by the way. I feel pretty
For anyone listening.
Yeah. Lest you doubt us.
So, I think the thing that I want to know is Chris always talks about his wife, Rachel, and, how they get along and how they work on shit. And I'm single after all these years. So everybody who looks at me like, you're 46, you're 47, how are you? Something's wrong with you.
Something's wrong with you.
Something's got to be wrong with you. And the only thing I feel like, I saw an article yesterday and I clicked it and it said, why single people are happier than married people.
What did they conclude?
I don't know where they get their facts, but they just talk about from dieting and when working out and health stuff to social life and this. But I look at you guys and I know you have a great social life, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you balance that?
Our social life?
Yeah, social life with is it too much? Oh, your friends are fucking coming over. Because I've had girlfriends, dude, and they're always like, oh my God, are we playing softball with your friends on Saturday again? Oh my God, are your friends coming over to watch Game of Thrones? I'm like, yeah. What nights how do you balance that where you're like, Claire, it's too much. Or Seth, come on.
I think one of the things that really helps Seth and I work is that we have a lot of the same interests. Almost all of our interests overlay with each other. And we also operate in similar ways, and we treat friends the same way. And we generally like the same people and actually had a lot of the same friends before we met, which is, why we're together.
You think that was a bad thing, though? A lot of people say, don't marry the person that's like you. Always marry the person that's opposite. That's what I've heard. Have you heard that?
We're opposite in a lot of ways, but as far as interests go, we can hang out and do the same things and really enjoy ourselves, and that helps.
We tend to problem solve in the same way. We tend to have at least a similar approach to stuff, and so
We like the same type of
entertainment.
furniture and interior design.
Really?
And we never really have to worry about not when we moved in together, our furniture looked like it had been bought together. It was
That's easy.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing you wouldn't buy a bunch of hockey jerseys like I have in this room. My style might not be yours.
Oh, you know what? I think sports may be one of the things that Seth and I differ on, because I actually love sports and grew up loving sports, and Seth is just not a sports guy.
That's not entirely fair. I love to play sports,
fight.
and I love going to live games in person. I find that really entertaining. But as far as keeping track of the facts, the players and the minutia of sports, that isn't something that attracts me.
Yeah. And so when you say,
I love how she gave me an eyebrow like our first fight.
how dare you call it minutia?
How dare you?
Bring out these big words.
I've studied all the details of, comics and toys, and I could spot this 96 hat from 8 feet away. So
How cute is that?
It is. Do you find that
was pretty
attractive?
impressive.
I do, yeah.
You do?
I love toys and had a huge. Seth is the first nerd I ever dated. I spent 30 years not dating nerds and being with people who thought I was a nerd, and made me keep all of my action figures and video games in one room and like maybe just one wall of the room.
So you dated all like really cool guys, like athletes and things like that, like guys that were sort of not the antithesis
Rock
of you.
stars.
Seth,
I
but
dated
like,
a lot
you
of
know,
musicians.
Yeah.
a lot of musicians. Was that intimidating, Seth?
I really didn't even think about it.
Until just now.
Yeah,
Thanks a lot.
now it's going to rattle around in my brain.
Well,
Thanks.
So you guys know Michael really well, and I am just meeting the both of you essentially for the first time today. So when you guys first met, you said you had a lot of friends in common, and that's how you met?
We met through happenstance, but after continuously meeting over like a year, his partner, who I was friends with, was like, "Here's Claire's number. You should call her."
Excellent. And that worked out.
Was that Breckenmeyer?
That's Matt Senreich.
Okay.
Yeah.
His other partner,
His other partner.
his work
'Cause you have
wife.
partners.
My TV wife, yeah.
And you guys dated for how long before you got married?
We were friends for a real year before we even accidentally made out. And then I genuinely thought that wouldn't be possible. I didn't think that was real, that you could like have a relationship with the person that you're best friends with. That didn't seem real. And I almost super blew it, but then I pulled up just
Why did you almost super blow it?
because I was scared and really holding on to historical context for myself, and had made what I later concluded to be mistakes in other relationships, and I really cared for her and didn't want to hurt her by us going down a path and me not being able to like actually be there for it, and that was just a reality, was me thinking this can't work. And if I draw her in this way, I'm hurting both of us and potentially ruining this friendship.
And so was that like a self-sabotage type
Yeah.
situation or
Sure.
did you feel that from him, or was he just kind of making that up in his head about the past being kind of overlaid onto this relationship?
Oh, I had no idea what was going on in his head. There was definitely like a few months towards the end of our friendship where we were friends who were sleeping together but not talking about it, and it was really weird for me. And I've been like a person who has more guy friends than girlfriends my whole life, and I've never like dated any of them or slept with any of them. Like, I'm not a friends with benefits type of person, you know?
I've kind of been there.
Yeah, I was kind of the opposite of that,
Yeah.
where I had such honest communication with so many friends of mine that sometimes we would just sleep together and it wouldn't be impacting to our friendship.
But I would have the opposite stuff where like even just being close to a guy like that I thought we were super best friends, they would be like, I mean, how can we be this close and not be fucking? And I'm like, what do you, that's
Friendship.
Yeah.
And intimacy is achieved differently for men and women. Oftentimes a woman has to feel intimate with a person to engage sexually, and a lot of times men feel intimate by engaging sexually.
Yeah. And I just don't like leading people on. So
And so then you had to get married.
But it seems like, Claire, when you first met for like a year, were you both, attracted to each other like that? Or were you like, no chance in hell, Claire, or no chance in hell, Seth? I don't see her like that or him like that, and this isn't going to happen. Was there at that point at all in the beginning?
I was like super in love with the guy that I was with when I met Seth, like obsessedly in love with this guy. And so when I met Seth, I immediately felt this connection to him, and I knew right away that we were meant to be in each other's lives. Was I sexually attracted to him? No, that for me, like 99% of the time comes after I've gotten to know a person. I like rarely find myself immediately sexually attracted to a person, but
We didn't meet under those and in that context. And we were
Yeah.
both in relationships when we met. So neither one of us were even considering it, I
Right.
don't believe.
yeah.
That was the same for me and my wife. We were both in relationships when we met on this short film, and so there was no even inkling of an idea, until 4 months later at a birthday party, and we both ended up single. And I asked her out that night. So we kind of started working together. She was a producer on this short film, and I was acting in it. And you guys also have worked together a bunch.
Yeah.
Now we have, yeah.
Now you have.
Well, Changeland, but
Yeah.
you've done other stuff before. You do videos and things like that.
Yeah.
When you guys first started working together, was that Like, do we want to go here? So it can be trepidatious for some people.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only concern is anyone else's judgment of the why. But from my perspective, I met somebody who was awesome and talented and really smart and motivated and who...
Oh my God, thank you.
That's you.
Yeah, you're welcome. But it's like, who do you want to hang out with? Who do you want to... We both love that. We're both in this for the same reasons. We both love acting, both love making stuff for the same reasons. And so getting to do it together is a plus and not a negative. I know that a lot of people project their own insecurities or their own lack of accomplishments onto other people's circumstance to say, oh, you got a leg up just because of this, and try to deny either the connection or the underlying talent. I always say, do you think I'm an idiot? Like, do you think I'm an asshole? Am I going to put myself in a position where I'm sacrificing my own opportunity to try and empower somebody who's undeserving of it or not going to work as hard as I am? That doesn't make any sense. And that's frankly insulting. So
That's exactly how I felt when I succumbed to letting him direct Saber episode 2. You know, I had to be like, what are people going to say? Am I just like giving my husband a job?
it's true.
And the answer was yes.
Yeah.
The answer was
he
yes.
made it great.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun on that.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite
You guys
things.
are ridiculous.
And the
about
most recent project that you guys have worked on together is called Changeland.
Yeah.
A feature film that you wrote, directed, starred in.
Yeah.
You both starred in.
Mm-hmm.
And you are not, there are romantic relationships in this film, and they are not between the two of you.
Yeah, what are you writing?
Hold on.
Seth?
As a director, you have to be keenly aware of how the audience will or will not see things. And
Of course.
honestly, I didn't think the audience would believe us.
Yeah, come on, guys. Let's be honest.
romantic.
Visually, Seth and I are like,
I didn't think anyone
I'm
was
like
going to.
almost 2 feet taller than him. So
I think
like,
it's almost 3.
She's 8 feet tall, you guys.
Well, the truth is, when I wrote this script, I wrote each of these characters with a particular actor in mind. And I wrote this part for Claire the same way I wrote that part for Macaulay Culkin or for Brecken or for Brenda Song. Like, these were, oh, this actor is going to fucking kill this. They will give me exactly what I need. They will, to the audience, look like exactly what I need. Their chemistry, because we're all friends in real life, is going to be palpable. Like, it was very exciting to me. I felt like I was assembling a supergroup.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like it was like a bunch of different bands took their best members and all formed exactly that, a supergroup.
We also didn't have a lot of money, and so I knew we were only going to get a couple of takes, and I needed actors that I could depend on to
always.
be at that level, to do that work, and to not
To make
be,
out with your wife? Because that's what
oh
you
my
did.
God, I
That
got
was
to
the
make out
best,
with
man.
Breckenmeyer.
That was the best.
Dude, I mean, how do you direct that? And was that one of those that was just one take wonder?
No, I got 3 takes of it, and here's
No tongue?
Here's what's funny. So,
Rick.
so one of the things that Claire and I bonded over before we were romantically involved was our similar outlook on romantic scenes when you're acting. So we'd both done like sex scenes or kissing scenes or had like romances with people over the course of several episodes of a whatever. And one of the things that we bonded about, because everybody's got their own take on that, but we both were coming from the exact same place of like, this isn't real. You make it real the same way that you make crying or anger or happiness real when you're acting. But when cut is called, no one's carrying any of that with you. And when you're talking about your wife and what actor you'd feel comfortable with watching her make out, who better than someone else who's true metal? I know Breckenmeyer. Brecken and I have known each other over 20 years, and I know exactly his outlook, his perception, his intake. And I also know how much genuine love and respect he has for Claire. Like, they're friends separate from our relationship. And so all of this just felt very safe to me. And it really was for me about creating this story, creating this image, creating these moments on film for the audience to get the feels. That's all you try to do.
Sure.
And so there's a very particular choreography I was trying to hit for the moment that they kiss, because we're in this incredibly lit area. We're fighting against the rain, and I wanted them to have this moment, and then I wanted them to come together and sort of shift into this beautiful light that gives them both a sparkly halo and kind of creates a sunburst between their mouths. And it took them, they're kissing for like 3 seconds, and in my head, I'm like, turn, sit back on your back foot, just lean on just turn, just a little. And they didn't hit it, so now they're both getting like really awkward.
Yeah, he just let us go that first time, like go and go and go, to the point where Brecken was like,
"What's happening?"
To the point where Seth's masturbating behind the camera.
And I was like, "That was great, guys. That was great. Do me a favor, a little bit quicker off of the contact. Just lean on your back foot and sort of rotate into this area, because this light behind you is going to make it beautiful."
What didn't make it into the movie is that at the exact same time that they were shooting me and Brecken making out, there is a version of the movie where Brenda and Seth were making out at that exact same moment, which, by the way, is the second time that me and Seth were back to back making out with like each other's best friend.
Wow.
So
it was a little too quick for me. I wanted a little more make out. But I liked it. I thought, but it was perfect for the movie.
There's a lot of cut footage.
But I'd love some outtakes. But the movie was just like, I bring up this movie, Changeland. It's perfect because Chris said before, I was like, this movie's kind of perfect for what we're talking about in relationships and life. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you start out, I don't want to give too much away, but like, the story is like, the girl that kind of you catch cheating. And like, you don't know how to deal with it. And you're taking this trip with your friend now that she was supposed to go on this trip with you, but now your best friend's going. And you realize like, you're going, oh, woe is me. Look at my life. She's cheating. And that's how my perception was. And then all of a sudden you realize that you haven't been a great friend. You haven't been the person that everybody else knows you to be or wants you to be. And because you're being selfish in a way, right?
Yeah.
Am I right there?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I thought that was really interesting because Brecken, there's a scene with you two, which it's a dude thing. Jessica, my assistant, was just like, that's not how girls would react, but that's how dudes would react. When he goes, you know what, you just want a good friend. We don't have to talk about this, but step up, dude, or whatever he says.
Yes. Mm-hmm. You've been a bad friend and that needs to stop.
I've been there. Yeah. I've had a friend, I've been so blinded by my own self-pity or my own woe is me attitude. It's fine to express those things, fine to have those things, but to let it affect your friendships and or familial relationships or your romantic relationship. Like I've had a friend say almost the exact same thing to me.
It hurts, and you don't know how to take it. At first, you're like in that like sort of like defensive mode, but then if you think about it, you're like, hey, let's take a second back, a moment here, because I've done that where my friends look, can you fucking listen to me for 1 minute, dude? I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I have ADD. And then they start talking to me. I go, by the way, when you ever have something really serious to say, I always listen, which is true. I do. I'm not always the best listener until someone needs me to listen. They're like, this is important. If I feel a tone change, a switch, I'm in. But sometimes you need kind of a smack in the face to be like, dude, I need you right now. You haven't been here. You should know that and fix it if you want to salvage this friendship.
I'm so glad you guys connected with the movie.
Well, if that's what it's about, you're like, that is not what it's about.
No, it's actually, the movie is about friendship. And it's like the driving story is this decision that Seth's character has to make on whether or not he's going to confront his wife and leave her or ignore it and stay in this like bad life that he's forced on himself, Yeah,
and the ending, I'm not going to say.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that it just threw me for a loop where I was just like, you're left with this ambiguous feeling that you decide.
Yeah.
You as an audience can decide what you think is going to happen or should happen. But regardless, I think your character, in my mind, has come to terms with whatever it is before you're ready to engage in that moment, whatever that moment is. But anyway.
There seems to be a thesis that Brecken's character asks your character. He says, this is the only question you have to answer.
Yeah.
And as far as that theme goes, do you think that not only applies to relationships, but it feels like that's almost a life philosophy that you were trying to impart?
I had a line in there just about, you can't make yourself happy. And Brecken says, yeah, you can. Like that's you every day. you make that decision if you're going to be happy or you're not. That's the only thing that you're in control of. And so I loved the idea of boiling something so complex down to that simplicity. Are you going to fight for it or not? Like, that really is the only control that you have in the situation. You can't control anything around you. You can only control yourself, your level of participation, your own attitude.
Well, I love seeing filmmakers that, you know, a lot of in Hollywood, as you know, over the years, you hear, I want to make a movie, man. I'm going to direct a movie. I'm going to write a movie. And seldom do they do it. They actually follow through because it's Hollywood. We say these things. And I like when you see the rare moment where one of your friends says, I'm going to write a movie and I'm going to direct it and it's going to happen. And it happens. They actually do it because it is the most challenging thing I had ever done. It's the biggest commitment ever. And honestly, I felt like there was times I would die. I was so emotionally and physically exhausted that I was like, why would anybody put themselves through this? You know, because your relationship, what did it suffer at all through the filmmaking?
No, she's so like she worked as an uncredited producer on the movie. Like, really helped not only.
I still am.
We could fix
You know the director. You should be able to get a credit.
I don't want to take anything away from the people who really produced this movie.
But she's been, her own level of commitment and participation is overwhelming to me. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So it's always just fine with you guys.
No, we definitely.
Yeah, let's get into dirt.
Not dirt, but
Why?
I mean, how do you?
Why not dirt, Chris?
Well, you can go for the dirt, but I'm interested in the process. Like when you guys are in a place, like how do you navigate stormy seas or rocky terrain? What are the tools you use? What are the values that you put into place so that you can navigate those things together?
All right, that was a good question.
You know, I personally just try not to get too much into my own head and presume what she's thinking or take personally anything that she's saying or doing, which is difficult. And so as a result, I try not to come from a place of feeling threatened or defensiveness. It helps that we're just committed. We're like, yo, we're doing this.
Yeah.
So whatever it is, we're going to work it out.
Right.
And then you try your best not to hurt each other.
Right.
You know?
Seth is a very calm and rational person.
he is.
And he's,
Jesus.
Just gotta,
Claire,
and,
you and I
he
would
just
be-
has a big shitty grin on his face.
Claire and I
love
would be
it.
divorced after a week.
I can't do this. He's very, Seth is very sensitive and emotional and thoughtful. And so, logical. But also, it's great for when we fight, but it's often why we fight.
Sure.
I'm very
Emotional?
I'm not emotional. I am
Hot.
Yeah. I'm a very aggressive human being.
Okay.
Yeah.
So stop there for a second because what I'm seeing now is First of all, sometimes she's patting him on the leg, like, "Hey, you got this, honey."
As the conversation shifted, they made physical contact to remind each other that they're both connected. It was lovely,
and they're both there. And but I think
we also don't do any name calling in our relationship.
Have you ever said, "Oh, fuck you"?
Oh, yeah.
Sure,
like last week.
Really?
That's the best. Yeah.
Wow.
That's the best.
Yeah, you got to get that out. You got to get that out.
Right.
Otherwise, you're like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you. You got to be
how
like,
is
hey, man,
it?
fuck you. Like, that's
Yeah.
bullshit.
Seth, have you actually looked at her, Claire, and go, "Claire, honestly, I love you, but fuck off."
I mean, it probably wasn't preceded with "honestly, I love you." It was probably just like "fuck you."
Yeah. But we also we're committed to getting to the other side of that.
Sure.
And so you have those kinds of communications to work through it. Like, that's what's critical.
you have pre-established safety to say those things because of that.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. The safety is definitely a part of that. Like,
How does your aggression show up? Is it physical? Is it physical violence against Seth?
No.
Wink
No,
twice. Wink
guys.
twice.
No, it's not like that at
Raise-
all.
the
Raise
truth
a
is I'm the oldest of 8, and Seth is basically like, a child actor moving through
You're
the
the
world.
Oldest
expressing
of 8.
himself.
You're the oldest of 8 kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you feel like you got you didn't get any attention at all.
Or you had to fight for the attention.
You were
if
just
you wanted.
responsible.
I didn't need that attention.
All right.
I never fought for that attention. I have one sibling who's my age, who's a year younger than me, and then the other 6 are 10 to 18 years younger than me. So I never fought with them.
Okay.
I took care of them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she was like a surrogate parent.
Yeah. So like I fought with the one that was my age.
Sure.
But like, so when you're in bed, do you have an agreement like you're not going to go to bed in an argument or hating each other? Do you like? Because
We have great conflict resolution, so that never happens. We never go to bed angry. Like our fights, we fight and then we talk it through. Our fights are usually like us exploding for however it starts, like my fault, his fault, it doesn't matter, and it usually ends with me like storming out of the room. I like to go. If we're fighting really hard to the point where I'm crying, I'll just go back to bed. And eventually he'll come into the room and he'll get on the bed and he'll like hold me and we'll calmly talk it through.
and then make love.
No,
Okay.
I don't do the makeup.
You
I
don't
don't
want
do
to
the
make
makeup
up
sex. I don't need that. Like,
Really?
don't touch me.
Sometimes
Like,
it feels really nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just saying, for me, I just throwing it out there. Sometimes makeup sex is nice, right, Chris? But
Sometimes,
this isn't about me.
I know.
This is about you.
I know.
see, you guys don't know this, but we've made a pact that by episode 100, Michael will be ready for a secure, functioning relationship.
You've said this.
And so hopefully he'll be gleaning from all of these interviews some tools and some things that he can take with him.
Listen, I do listen. Look, I want to be. Look, I strive. I do this show. Honestly, we talked in the kitchen. We're like, you know what? First things first. This show, we want to do this show because we think it's. What was the term you used? I wasn't as smart. You said something really articulate.
We're just putting love and light into the world. There's enough sarcasm and negativity and irony, and so we wanted to get to what people love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of feel like I like to keep relationship sex for it to be like meaningful, you know, like I never want to get drunk and just like bang it out. Like I do that with people I don't care about, not with like the person that I
Who are these
love
people
and
that
wanna
you're sleeping with?
and like express myself with. You know
I
what
will
I mean?
get drunk and bang other men.
I'm
But
gonna
I
go
will
out.
because I'm
I'm gonna
sober.
drink this fifth, and I'm gonna fuck out those dudes.
And I'm gonna make love to you.
And I'm not gonna give a shit about it.
I know that
We're just
sounds
gonna
so
bang it
like
out.
cheesy
No,
and
it's not.
cliche, but like I definitely don't want to reward negative behavior with something that's supposed to be the absolute symbol of our connection
Sure.
to each other.
You don't want those neural pathways.
Yeah, I never want to
connecting-
mix
yeah.
that.
By the way,
yeah.
I had one time, it was an ex-girlfriend from many, many years ago. I just remember she was drunk and I wasn't. And she was like kind of fighting with me. And I'm like, listen, I'm sober. So I don't want, which pissed her off even more. I'm like, but I'm
Yeah,
sober.
don't ever tell a drunk
I'm
person.
sober.
They're drunk.
I don't want to fight because you're not sober. And she's like, oh, fuck you, blah, blah. And then so I go to sleep. She wakes me in the middle of the night trying to have sex with me. And she's aggressive and she's drunk. And it's just, I'm like, who the fuck? It was so disconnected. It was so like, I hated it.
That sounds like a person who uses sex as a way to connect to other human beings because they're not really capable of doing it otherwise. And when you shut her down in an argument, she was like frantic that your relationship was falling apart and that was it. And oh my God, what do I do? Well, if I fuck him, he'll stay in it. We'll be connected.
Oh.
It's a soothing mechanism. It can be a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
See what you learned here today? I didn't even think about that. I just thought it was just, she's just, what the fuck's going on here? It's like Linda Blair fucking me. You know?
Everybody's got
She needed you to like validate, you know, a reason for her to be in your bed.
People
Interesting.
discover sex in all different ways. People get introduced to those feelings through all different means. And a lot of times, you know, your entrance to it, if it was traumatic or if it was however it is that you're introduced to those ideas, starts to carve familiarity, you know, like dopamine that gets released when you hit a particular
Trigger.
trigger. Thank you.
Yeah.
So you just never know. And you got to consider that whenever you're trying to relate to somebody, what it is that means to them and how to actually connect. You
Hey,
know?
when you want something, when you want like something, it doesn't have to be a big thing. Like let's say, okay, remember that? We did that before, Chris. Yeah, we were having a phone conversation with our producers.
Michael and I are starting our own relationship by doing this podcast. And we were on a conference call about the fucking podcast. And he says, "Hey guys, thanks so much. We appreciate all the support." Then he looks over at me and smacks me in the arm like we've been married for 20 years and gestures to the speakerphone like, don't you want to
Like, do you want to
express
say something?
gratitude?
You want to say something?
To
I was in New York, or like, you want to do something? You want to say something to these people? Like, they're
yes.
helping us out. They wanna
Thank
do
you
something?
for this conference. I also love you.
He looks at me like, what the fuck?
Anyways, what were you asking?
I was asking, like, we were talking about with Jess, like my assistant. We're like, you said something that kind of, it bothered me. You said something in the kitchen, you're like, yeah, you talk to some people like they're your assistants. And I was like,
No, I said you talk to everybody. Like
yeah, that's what bothered me, the word everybody. But that's not true. See, what happens was I'm doing all these things. I'm like, Tyler's freaking out in here. He's like trying to get the board going. He's talking to my producer from inside of you. They're trying to get shit going. I'm trying to find shit. You guys are showing up. My neck hurts. I'm on fucking Norco. The dogs are going fucking everywhere. Just all this shit's going
and he
on.
barks out an order at me.
And I'm not Seth Green. I'm not calm and rational all the time.
It's crazy.
I look at all I said to him. This is what bothered me. It was, can you just look up more on Claire? I know a lot about Seth. Just look more about Claire. He goes, and then you said something about the assistant thing, which I was like, you motherfucker. I asked you to do one goddamn thing, but you know what he goes? He goes, I'm actually doing something right now with Rob. I'm talking to Rob about how to fix this other issue with her. And it wasn't an argument. It was love. But it was like, there's amazing how little words can make you feel like a little bit like, because maybe I treat everyone with so much love and I'm giving. Do you feel like everyone, you're like, hey Seth, can you get me that pen over there? You're like, I'm not your fucking assistant. Do you feel like you ask each other too many things, or is there a balancing thing where you're like, yes dear, or does someone ask too much? How do you balance that shit?
Should we talk about the scissors metaphor?
The scissors.
Ooh.
Let's hear
Use
it.
that. So like, there are like little things in relationships where you just sort of like fight about the same thing all the time. By the way, Seth and I, we've been in couples therapy since like the second year of our marriage,
And how long you been married?
9 years.
9 years, right?
It's helpful.
Yeah, it is
It's helpful.
helpful.
Rachel
Like, we
and
don't
I
go
do
every
couples
week.
therapy,
We
too.
don't go every month. Sometimes we go more than others.
If you find the right therapist, like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
perfectly possible to sit with a therapist who's terrible for you,
Yeah.
and not really have them
We did that
provide you
too.
help, and then you think that it's
Yeah.
your fault,
Right.
Like something's wrong with the
But
relationship.
it's also what's weird, and I want you to continue with this, but I have always how my mind goes. I feel like, is it weird when like Seth or Claire, you look at one another and you say, I think we should set up a session with Marjorie, our therapist, or whoever it is. Does that make the other person go, why? Is something wrong? Do you ever do that?
I hope not. I mean, we've definitely been like, I want to talk to the therapist because I feel like I'm reacting in a way that's disproportionate and probably unfair for the situation.
Yeah, it's like, every relationship, you basically fight about the same things over and over and over again. And sometimes, you're so stuck in your own head about like your point of view about why you're doing it that you need that outside perspective. Earlier you said, that we have this like trust in each other, that this relationship isn't going anywhere. And like, I know that our relationship isn't going anywhere. Like, I still at this point in our relationship can say that I'm 1,000% confident that we'll be together forever. Anything in the world could
we'll make
happen
it work,
from an outside, like any outside force could happen that could change significantly and tear us apart. But like right now, just based off the two of us, like I don't see us ever being apart, and because of that, there is a safety in like saying, I think we got to get back to the therapist. Like, I think we need a together session because we also see her individually, and then we see her together. And sometimes like there'll be longer stretches of like just me going and then I'll be like, we'll get into an argument and it's the same argument that we've had like 1,000 times. I'm like, all right, well, we need to make a session. We need to go talk this out again.
Yeah.
And it helps.
Our couples therapist talks about becoming an expert on your person. Like you have their owner's manual and you know enough about them to where, like, for instance, there's a thing about my wife's personality. She shuts down and goes into an old place in her brain when I call her name from another room. So she doesn't like being hollered at. Like she doesn't like being summoned. She doesn't like being like, even if I'm just like, hey, sweetie, or hey, Rachel,
Yeah.
Like it puts her in like she cringes,
Yeah.
and she didn't even realize she was doing it. So I have to go to the room and just be like, "Hey, Rach," and then everything can continue. But knowing that is just a little page in the owner's manual. And you were saying something about
The scissors metaphor.
Scissors
Yeah, I want to hear the scissors. But by the way, Claire, you didn't like the calling from another room either.
Yeah, I don't like that. That's just, like, this just comes from like my childhood and having people screaming orders at me from the other side
I'm
of the
a yeller.
house.
Like
I'm
that.
more like that. I'm like, hey, Jess, could you see if that? I just like I'm a loud family. That's just how I'm.
I am too. Yeah, I'm a loud family too. I just
I'm a loud family.
yeah.
You are literally. There's our first T-shirt.
I'm a loud family.
I'm a loud family.
I'm a loud family. That's the first quote of the show. Go ahead, tell me about the scissors.
The scissors. So, the house that we're in now is the second house that we've lived in together. And the first house, we only lived there for a couple years. It was always just meant to be like a temporary rental. And when we moved in, Seth was really busy, maybe even out of the town or country. So I set the entire house up myself. And so for those first 2 years that we were married and living in that house, he knew where nothing was. And it drove me crazy. Like anytime he needed anything, he was like, "Hey, do you know where this is? Hey, do you know where this is? Hey, do we have that? Hey, do we?" And it was like driving me crazy. I'm like, "You should know this. You've lived here for 2 years." Like, so then when we moved into our forever house, I was like, "I'm not going to put anything away. You and I are going to make all the decisions where everything goes together. We're going to put it up together so that you always know where everything is." But he just kept asking me like where the scissors were, like all the time. And it like, I just like snapped.
What did you say?
I was like, I don't want to tell you where the fucking scissors are.
And what'd you say? It's fine.
In my defense, those scissors have moved several times.
Right.
And so
No, they haven't.
My wife and I have a very similar issue where once a year we have to go through, let's just say, the kitchen and go, okay, we've acquired a lot of shit in the last year. Is everything where it should be, considering everything we've gathered? Should we move the plates to a more logical place? And we have to do it. We have to do it together. And I'm like, Rachel, I go into the room. Hey, Rachel, can I show you something? I'm going to put the scissors in this cup, in this cabinet, in the kitchen. So when we both need the scissors, they'll be right here. And if we both agree that when we use the scissors and put them back here, we'll always have scissors.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Go back. That was a good picture, Seth.
you want me to pose for it like we're in
pose,
reality
like,
television?
no.
Just need another take.
And that is why we will always
this organic
have
intimacy.
So by the way, I want to say something on the outside as a singles point of view.
Yeah.
You're fucked. Hey, Rachel, I want to show you where the scissors are.
Wait, but
hey,
Michael,
Seth, I'm going to show you what I'm doing right now. You know what? Those are stupid little things.
I'm gonna give you just a little bit of perspective.
Give me perspective because I don't like
there's
that
subtext
part.
to this whole thing. So
I
it's
want to be married now.
It's as simple as this: when you get married, you are essentially saying, "I choose you."
Okay, it's a
I
partnership.
choose you.
Yeah.
I need you to be there. I expect you to be lucid and prepared. And if the shit goes down, I want you to have a fucking pickaxe and a zombie supply kit. Like I need to know that I'm safe with you. And so sometimes something as simple as being asked, where are the scissors, can create a subconscious doubt in the overall viability of the partner. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And so I recognize that. And I try to be a little bit sharper. But I also am thinking about so many things that sometimes, like just this morning, I was opening I made us some breakfast and I was opening a jar of garlic and it was really fused tightly together. So I went to the drawer where we have one of those rubber things that helps you get a better grip. Mm-hmm. And instead of opening that drawer, I opened up our dish towel drawer for like the 7 millionth time. And that's just something I accept about myself.
Right.
That there are things that I know beyond the shadow of a doubt and I will never make the mistake. And then there's other shit that is just not critical.
And you're like, I guess I'm opening this with a towel.
I hear you.
But I recognize that it's important to her. And so I try not to activate any of that doubt by asking her for shit that I could solve on my own.
And what's that?
That's the big thing for me. That's just it. Like I have a lot of people who lean on me in their lives and a lot of people who literally come to me for every decision, for everything all the time. And I just like, I need for my partner to be able to tie their own shoes.
Yeah.
You know,
enough, right?
I don't need to be asked every day mundane things. Like, figure it out.
When-
I do.
Yeah.
In
you
my
know?
Yeah.
defense, when was the last time I asked you about?
It's been years.
There we
It's been
go.
years.
There we
since
go.
you asked me about
You know
this.
what? I do. Yeah.
Let me
yeah.
hold on.
T1000 learning
And
computer.
Let me come back to Michael's
I
perspective.
knew you were holding on to that.
Oh.
I knew you were holding on to it.
Because I want
Did I
to.
address it wrong?
No, your perspective on
that's
on you
valuable.
guys are fucked is
Why I'm fucked.
No.
you're not fucked either. But it's the difference. It's the difference between why I think you're perfectly happy being single, and I think you're perfectly happy. Okay, well then let me tell you why I'm not fucked in regards to this, because it's not about asking for permission. It's not about getting approval. It's about considering someone else. And for my whole life, I have a huge problem with. I mean, I don't want to put all actor. I'm an actor. I'm a person who seeks validation. I am. Not because I'm an actor. I just happen to also be a selfish person. I can be a narcissistic person. I can be self-centered at my worst. And when I get into a relationship, that shit has to stop. And I don't get to just make decisions based on my own life anymore. I'm living with another person, and that person has to be considered in all things. And so that has taking that stance and taking that mindset with other things has made me a better person. It's made me a better friend. It's made me a better artist. It's made me a better collaborator. And so, but I also understand why you would see it that way, because I used to feel the same way.
Yeah. Well, I think in my mind, and then when I get to some questions, because I want to get some questions, and I want to ask you two more little things. In my mind, I'm like, life's too short. There's so much stupid little things in life that I'm like, why are we worrying about these little things? Oh my God, I said something that I shouldn't have said exactly, but you know me. You know me. It's like if it happens, I have a loud mouth. I'm sorry. It's like, what? First of all, express your feelings to me right now. Tell me.
Yeah. Don't
lie in bed like I have with an ex-girlfriend, another ex-girlfriend who would go, good night, and just pout. I'm like, what are you, Eeyore from what's going on? Just talk to me. Talk to me. Well, tonight you said something to this girl, and tell me what it was. I said this, and I go, okay, look, I love you. I'm with you. You know me. I would never, but I know that's also wrong. It's also maybe just like, hey, how about I'm sorry it hurt you. I will never say something like that again. And it wasn't like a big thing, but to her, it was.
It's just in the way that you handle it.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Because I'm a kind of an inner child is explosive.
But if you say to her, hey, listen, thank you for expressing that to me, because I'm not aware of it. That's not the way I intended it. I didn't perceive it as that, but I understand that you did. And I want to assure you, that's not where I'm coming from.
I also think it sounds like you probably don't need to be with a sensitive woman. And also, like, people in relationships act completely differently before the moment where they feel safe and at ease. So maybe that girl at that time didn't necessarily feel safe in her place in your life. And so because of that, she was overly sensitive to an interaction that for you was harmless, you know.
In her eyes,
you
God,
know.
you guys are smart. This is why I like having married people around me. Make me a better person. No, this is right.
I think every partner's job in a relationship is to make the other one feel comfortable and safe.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be honest, and you have to like actively physically make an effort to, like, you know,
That's what loving someone means.
Yes,
but
constantly enforce
I get
your
defensive
safety.
though. Yeah, I get defensive.
Me too.
Because
I'm defensive.
I feel like I'm a good person. I try to do good deeds. I've never cheated, believe it or not. I've never cheated on a woman, and so I feel like when someone questions my integrity, I fucking lose my shit. That you want to treat, if you treat me like a fucking. If you talk down to me or condescending to me, or, you know, there's certain things. There's not many. But if you disrespect, there's a disrespect button that I feel I can't deal with it. And it's not much. It takes a long time. But when someone says, you know, I saw you do that, you flirted with her. And in my mind, if I'm absolutely like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, my mind goes to, don't you dare question my integrity and who I am, because I would never do that to you. But that's wrong. I know,
But
because
the person is using
her
the person is using those words, but they're saying, I just need you to know at the party I felt unsafe. I felt unsafe at the party.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
And I don't want to feel unsafe at parties.
I got it.
And I get it. I get it that you take it as some kind of personal condemnation of your own integrity, but I guarantee nobody's coming from that place. The most comforting reality that I learned, and it's been reminded to me over and over and over again, is that no one is ever thinking about you. They are only thinking about themselves, and they're thinking about how they're perceiving it, how they're interpreting it, what their thoughts are, what their emotional disposition is. It's very difficult to step outside yourself and consider where someone else is coming from when you are in the midst of a confrontation.
All right. Listen, so we have a love hotline.
We have the In Love hotline at 323-207-5676. Yes. We accept questions about love, life, relationships, all of the above. And we had some questions for Seth and Claire.
Yeah, so let's have a few questions. Then I'm going to ask you two brief questions about what you're grateful for, what you love maybe recently, or what you're in love with like this week or today or whenever. Obviously, you're in love with your wife. But let's get a question here.
Okay, Rosie, here's my question. If you are having sex or talking about sex 75% of the time in your relationship, does that mean your relationship is solely about sex?
I think that means that you rely on sex for validation of intimacy and purpose in your relationship, or you're just two people with very high libidos, which is also possible.
It's weird for me because I've been in relationships where it's so passionate and it's so whatever, then I'm like, oh my God, it's all about sex and fun. But that can't work. That's not sustainable. But for me, I'm 46. I don't need sex all the time anymore. Like sex once a week or twice a week. That's good. I mean, that's a good week. So I don't rely, like when I was younger, I was like, sex was always validation. Like if I have sex, oh, they like me. It means that's another therapy session for me. That's another episode. But I don't really know how to answer that other than now for relationships, I look for someone I obviously am attracted to and I could feel a certain chemistry. But there's been some women where I've dated that in the beginning I wasn't good, or it just wasn't, and it finally almost like it got there. It got to a great place because all the nerves were then gone. Sometimes, it's like, fuck, man, I just need to pop a Viagra and get out of my head. I'm too pumped up about this one. But if I just relax and if I get to know the person and just really like the person and enjoy them, then that stuff, where I used to go with sex right away when I was in my 20s, 30s, like right away, I'm going to have sex. But now I feel like if you do wait a little bit, if you just wait, then that's better and the pressure's less.
Yeah, and you're invested in it more.
I'm invested in it more.
You can connect more, and then it feels better.
But yeah, I think if sex is 75% of your conversation, that's too much.
A bad sign.
Yeah, no.
There are more things to talk about.
Imbalanced.
Yeah,
I'd rather go to Disney World and spend 3 days and have a good time. Okay, go. Sorry, next question.
Hi, it's Emily. I saw Rosie's tweet, so I wanted to call in. I'm in a long-distance relationship. I'm based out of Chicago. He's based out of California. And we've been kind of dating for about a year and a half. And I was just wondering when you think it's a good time for one of us to start making moves to relocate. He's 35, I'm 32, and we both just met through friends. So I was just wondering your thoughts.
Seth, Claire, why don't you guys?
Everybody's different.
Everybody's different.
I've seen people really work it with long distance relationships because they are able to maintain a connection across the country. I've seen people whose relationships suffer because they're not able to maintain their intimacy at a distance. There's no right way to do it. There's really just you and your partner and what you can bear. Yeah.
Yeah, for some reason, people always say, I think you like long-distance relationships. My friend Tom Lally, he'll go,
I don't hate them.
He goes, you know why? Because you could do your own shit, and they're available when you need them. And there's something not good about that, because you have to learn. I mean, if you can deal with it.
If it's agreed upon by both people in the relationship, and that is a shared value, that you both value your alone time and your own space. And I know a couple who live one person in Los Angeles and one person in New York. They have 2 houses and they see each other once a month for like a week, and they've been married for decades.
That's incredible.
And they do a lot of work on their relationship, but they've just come to realize that they appreciate this time. She likes living in New York. He likes living in LA, and everything seems to be working out. But like you're saying, everyone's different.
Yeah,
I think as soon as you, if you have to ask the question, then it might not be the right time. If you're still having, I don't know, if you're questioning it.
It sounds like she's saying, I want this.
Yeah.
How do I make a stronger commitment? And the truth is that's just between the two of you.
And some couples will say, like, here's a rule. Every 2 weeks, I come to see you, or you come to see me.
We have a 2-week rule. We've never been apart for more than 2 weeks.
In Thailand, because I had to go for a 5-week prep, but then I had you out there for 5 weeks after that.
So you were without her for 5 weeks?
Yeah.
Were you going crazy?
I mean, it definitely sucked. I was really focused on, we were doing all the prep for the movie. So it's like scouting and casting and getting everything ready for my cast to join me and to make this movie. So, and she was doing a bunch of things on the film's behalf from LA. We FaceTimed.
Sure.
But
I love FaceTime.
It's tough,
People
man,
always
'cause
turn.
it was like a 14-hour time difference, which makes it very difficult to just time it.
I love FaceTime, and I want to say something because some people are like, I don't know you, I'm not FaceTiming you. Here's the deal. My thought is, I'd rather FaceTime you and talk to you for 5 minutes, and if we have a good vibe, then let's go get lunch. Or let's go out. I'd rather do that than go out and blindly lunch. And people don't understand. And girls don't like lunch. Girls like, no coffee, no lunch. It's like,
but you're able to be yourself on FaceTime. You're able to be yourself on the microphone. You're able to be yourself. And a lot of people get in front of a microphone or a camera and they aren't giving you
That's very valid.
the genuine thing that they would like to give you.
And you never know if someone doesn't like coffee or they don't like lunch. Like, what's the subtext to that? Like, no one's arbitrarily making that decision to defy you. There's got to be some reason.
Yeah, girls also, like, you have to think, like, a girl wants to look pretty for a guy. So, like, that takes work. Like, maybe she doesn't want to have to put makeup on and do her hair just for a FaceTime call. Or maybe she wants the comfort of the darkness and the candlelight that comes with a nighttime first date, whereas a lunch is less committal and you're definitely going to be in, like, full sun or fluorescent lights.
Gotcha. All right, real quick. What are you grateful for? Both briefly, what are you grateful for? And that could be today, or that could be this week, whatever. Chris has a thing where he texts me every morning or whatever, most mornings, and says, I'm grateful for you, or I'm grateful for this today.
Oh my
and I send it
God.
back, and I think it's very warm, and I think it just helps me. So what are you grateful for? And
what is something that you're currently in love with? Obsessed with? Could be a show, music, food.
Guys, Game of Thrones.
of course,
Game of Thrones.
It's Game of Thrones for me.
And actually, to tell you the truth, nothing has beat Into the Spider-Verse for me. That
Really?
is like,
I hear that.
Have you not seen it?
No.
All right.
we'll have to
watch
I'm not
it.
going to overhype it.
All right.
But it is.
One of the greatest movies ever made in human existence.
I'm not going to hype it.
It's genuinely one of my favorite things. Yeah.
Okay.
And as you woke up this morning, what is the thing in your life that you're most grateful for?
I immediately started listening to a Game of Thrones podcast.
You are grateful and in love with Game of Thrones.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I know.
I've got a lot of gratitude, guys. I've been able to live the life that I chose for myself. And even though it is difficult at times and not always exactly as you'd want it, I've been able to make a career out of the thing I love the most. And I am surrounded by incredibly supportive and valued friends. I feel a tremendous amount of gratitude. Like, she and I we just celebrated our anniversary. We had to look at each other like, holy shit, we're 9 years deep and I still really only want to hang out with you. So that's
why you're not calling me back. Understand?
I am also really
never
grateful
happened.
for
I know.
the wonderful quality of life that we get to share together. And we actually, a couple weeks ago, just came back from Cambodia, which was an absolutely incredible trip to visit all those temples, but also it's a really painful reminder and lesson of how well everyone in this country has it and how grateful we are even more to be living here and also living in Southern California, where we just had a butterfly migration. And, while the rest of everywhere else in the world is getting hit with crazy weather, guys, it's like perfect all the time. We're so lucky, and I am grateful for that every day of my life. That's very
I'm
nice.
grateful. I'll tell you what I'm grateful for. We already talked about this in the beginning of our show before these two lovely people, but I'm grateful to have you both on the show, because this has been very, very insightful, especially from a single guy's perspective, and from even a married couple's perspective, and how to make things better, and how you guys manage to work together and live together in harmony, and are so grateful, and so it just works. I like to see when things work, and not a lot of things work. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, thanks for coming in and sharing how you do it.
Thanks for having us.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, and also go see Changeland, written and directed by Seth Green, starring his lovely wife Clare Grant, Breckin Meyer. Who else?
Seth Green himself.
Seth Green's in this.
Brenda Song, Macaulay Culkin, Kedar Sterling,
Kedar Williams Sterling, and
Rose Williams,
and also Randy Orton.
WWE superstar Randy Orton.
Oh yeah, dude, he's awesome.
Isn't he great?
Just watch it for the boxing scene alone. I really, really enjoyed that. But
Thanks, man.
where can you find that?
It's all over VOD and on demand, and maybe on some other platform by this point.
Yeah, support independent movies. This guy busted his ass. This is a great story, and I really think you'll like it. Changeland. Thank you, Seth Green, Clare Grant. Thanks for being in love with us.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Tyler.
Okay, this week I'm adding to the In Love playlist a song by one of my favorite bands. I met Taylor Goldsmith, the lead singer and songwriter for a band called Dawes. And I went through their entire catalog. They just came out with a new record called Passwords. And one of my favorite tracks on that record that makes me feel the love, makes me feel so held and cuddled and taken care of, is a song called Crack the Case. Enjoy.
I will do your interview. Try to explain what I'm going through. Give you something to read into in a million different ways. A sick version of telephone starts at the clip of the microphone. A game we thought we had all outgrown, but still everybody plays. Ignoring all of the remedies, believing all of the rumors with their endless days.